Halo, the best gaming franchise ever made. I love it, and you should too.
This is a game where tacticality, strategy, and teamwork meets all-out fun. Play split screen with your best buddy on the couch, ready up your battle rifle, hop in a Warthog, drink your Halo Mountain Dew, and capture that damn flag. That's what people were saying back in the day, over a damn decade ago when Halo was at peak popularity, and the Xbox 360 was the dominant console, and all my friends were making fun of me with my PS3 talking about, You're playing Little Big Planet, that's for babies, ha. So my dumb ass caved, alright? And I got a 360, and I got an Xbox One when it came out. And we sure showed up Sony this generation, didn't we? But anyways, Halo was the best thing since sliced bread. But now, the majority of the community would probably tell you that it went from this to this.
What the fuck you standing here for your fucking card? Fuck's sake!
A lot of fans ain't happy with 343. The majority of the Halo fan base kind of just sees Halo as a washed up shell of a game that it used to be, now that 343 is developing the games. A swing and a miss, if you will. But, okay, are these fans actually justified in being as angry and as upset as they are?
Yes! Yes!
Is Halo really as bad as people say it is? Well, maybe. And do we want Sarah Palmer to be the main character in Halo Infinite?
No!
I thought you'd be taller.
Man, shut your bitch ass up.
Well, sit back, get your Capri Suns, get your Doritos, get your cat, because in the next several minutes, we're gonna figure out 3 things. 1, why is Halo so different now? 2, what can 343 do to earn the community's trust back? And 3, why is my opinion of Halo unique and undeniably 100% indisputable proven fact and unmatched by every other opinion ever? Let's find out. Part 1. Why is Halo so different now? So in Halo 5, we had... What? You can come in. Who the fuck are you?
I'm sending you back, fool.
Wait, what?
No!
What the fuck was that? Dude, where am I? Is that me? I guess in order for me to get to the main points of the video, I have to get into my origin story. So there I was, little 13-year-old me. I didn't do anything except for play games and skateboard sometimes. I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate with that. I didn't even do any schoolwork because fuck that, who wants to do schoolwork when you got games and skateboarding? You know, the times were different back then. And also, with my mother, she was pretty protective over me. So, I couldn't really play any of those violent video games. I was her first kid, so I can't really blame her too hard for it, but I did get it a bit rough here and there. But I would be fucking lying if I said that I wasn't upset seeing all my friends play Modern Warfare 2 and Mortal Kombat, and I'm just sitting here getting every star in Mario Galaxy for like the 10th time. My mom thought there was too much violence in the world at the time and didn't want me to be exposed to it, which is a really nice sentiment looking back. But I just wanted to fucking shoot people up. So you got me fucked up if you think I wasn't over my friend's house all the damn time playing Black Ops and Halo. But even then, I couldn't get a damn break because my mom would tell his mom to look over me to make sure that I wasn't playing those games. I couldn't get a fucking break. So every night I was over his house, we would wait until everyone went to bed and we'd play Call of Duty. And at one point, he introduced me to Halo. Halo Reach specifically. And I was like,
Oh,
whoa,
see that? That was amazing. God, this game is fucking amazing. Motherfucker up.
and I was like instantly hooked. You know, this is me before Halo, and this is me after Halo. It ain't no joke. That was no joke back then. But one day, she caught me. My mom caught me playing Halo Reach. And at the time, I had the perfect defense.
But Mom, I'm shooting aliens. They're not real people. It's aliens.
And she fucking bought it! She
Biggest
fucking
brain ever.
bought it! Yes, sir! Yes, sir! Thank you! Congratulations!
Thank you,
Good
Clay.
job! I was so happy back then, and I could play it over my friend's house whenever I wanted to, but I couldn't play it over my house because I had a PS3, but I was so jealous that he had an Xbox at his house, and yeah, that's my introduction to Halo. I was a stubborn fucking kid that just wanted to shoot up people. You know, that's all I wanted to do. And to this day, that game, Halo Reach, is now one of my most beloved games of all time. And definitely the most beloved Halo game of all time. I absolutely love Reach and all the memories that are tied with it. And it still holds up to this day in the Master Chief Collection. I fucking love it. And I love that they added it into the game. So that's how I started. I started with Halo Reach. Now here's the thing. I'm almost positive that I'm in the huge minority of the Halo fan base when it comes to the one that they started out with. I could be wrong, but I'm almost positive that most of them started with Halo 3 or Halo 2. But I would say that Halo 3 was the one that everybody loved. And that ain't no secret at all. I hear people's criticism about 343's games that they're not like what they used to be. And a lot of people always reference Halo 3 as being one of the most fun games they've had experiences with. And do I blame them? Absolutely not. I have so many memories with my friend playing the campaign, playing custom games, playing 1v1s, all that stuff. And I'm sure that all you guys probably have as well. It's a great game. And when I hear people reminiscing, about Halo 3. But I reminisce about Halo Reach. That was my game. And I'm sure it's a lot of your guys' games too. But that's what I think about when I think of Halo. Just like the story and the atmosphere and the sacrifices and all the cool moments that happened in that game, I loved back then, and I fucking love it now. But I'm coming to you, yes, you, right there, as someone who started out kind of late with Halo. I started out with Halo Reach. It's the reason I got an Xbox 360 later on in high school, when my mom finally let me play fucking shooty games under one stipulation. She didn't ever want to hear me say this, specifically this, and I quote, shoot his head off. And as you can see, it's 2021, and I'm 23, and I'm recording Master Chief Collection, so I don't think I got in trouble for saying shoot his head off. So that was pretty much my sexual awakening with Halo. And I wanted to give you my contextual experience with the franchise so that you can better understand the rest of the video.
But Clam, since we're into Halo so late into the series, what do you think about Halo 4 and 5?
Well, I am so very glad you asked, you wonderful person. Thank you for sticking this far into the video, and we'll get into that right now. Oh god, it's you again. Dude, leave me alone. Oh, no, wait, no, bring me back. I need you to bring me back.
Looks like I sent you back too fucking far.
Okay, what are you doing? Stop! Man, what the fuck, dude? Where the fuck did he send me this time? Man, what the fuck am I even looking at? Okay. Right. Yo, is that Chief? Yo, well, let's go. Holy shit, there he is. Oh my god. He's fucking... Oh, he's in there. Boom. Yeah, dude, I can't believe Halo's... A whole fucking year? Are you kidding me? I'm supposed to play Black Ops for a whole another year? What? Can you really blame me for getting upset after they showed this? Oh my god, they brought back the DMR. Holy shit, kill him. Oh my god, there we go. Oh shit, they got a rocket launcher. Blow his ass off, yeah. No, the answer's no. You can't blame me for getting upset. It's the hypest shit ever. Look, if you weren't hype as fuck after that trailer, especially when you're 13 or 14, I do not know what to fucking say, because that shit had me gone. That shit had me wanting to go to GameStop to pre-order it immediately. I really don't know what else to say. It was really one of my favorite game trailers ever. And it was just showing the weapons around. It was fucking sick. But, you know, after all that, even when the game came out, I was fucking still hyped for it. Obviously, everyone was. I was like, yeah, boom, boom, boom. First teabag of the game. Boom, boom, boom. Kill him. Shoot his head off. I didn't say that. I didn't say it. Don't worry. I didn't get in trouble. But it was fucking great. But then, you probably know where this is going. I started hearing complaints. After all the initial dopamine rush of the game hit, I started hearing complaints.
Sprint.
Now, granted, I might be exaggerating a little bit for the sake of the video, but I definitely did hear my friends complaining about stuff like armor abilities and sprint and the kill streaks or ordnance drops that were in the game, and that they didn't like them. But I'm just going to be straight up. I loved it. As I mentioned before, I play Call of Duty. I played Call of Duty before I played Halo, so I was already used to sprint and kill streaks. And sprint had always been a staple of Halo for me because I was never without it. I used it in Halo 4, and I used it in Halo Reach, next to, but we don't talk about that. But basically, I was just never without it. Halo 4 to me was the perfect blend of everything that I liked in a shooter put into one. And it wasn't until, you know, later that I realized and learned that 343 was just doing their best to copy off of their competitor to make a game more accessible to the Call of Duty audience, because Black Ops was making a lot of money back then, and all kids wanted to do was just with a whole bunch of weapons and kill streaks. And it sure as hell worked with me because I absolutely loved it. And you know, I really liked the game, obviously, but I definitely have some sympathy for the people that originally started playing Halo when it came out. You know, I feel for them. And, you know, from the art style, from the way the game is played, it lost its original identity. It wasn't Halo to a lot of people anymore. It was Call of Duty. I understand why people are upset, and I would be upset if all of a sudden a franchise I loved for all these years had all of a sudden just changed up the entire way the game is played. And just as a bit of an aside, real quick, when you're dealing with a situation that involves differing opinions, I've seen so many people, you know, completely dismiss the other side's opinion for the sake of their own. And I know it's the fucking internet, obviously, so you're gonna get that wherever you go. But I think it's absolutely important to hear out as many sides of an argument as you can to get a bigger picture of what you may be arguing about. It's okay to have your own opinions, of course, but other people have just as much of an opinion as I do. And I think that if we start respecting other people's opinion and turn it more into a conversation rather than dismissive, I think the world will be a much better place. Unless you're racist, and then it's a thumbs down for me. And that's how I think with this. You know, I feel for the original audience, most definitely, but I also keep my own views intact. I like having a conversation with people, and Halo is definitely one of the things I like to talk about. You know, me being my big old dummy nerd ass, but anyways, back to the topic at hand. I absolutely loved Halo, and I know a whole lot of people didn't like it, but something interesting has been happening over the past couple of years, I believe. The campaign of the game is definitely something that I've noticed people dislike back in the day, but over these last couple of years, as I mentioned, people seem to be looking back at it more fondly, and that makes me really happy, because don't get me wrong, I absolutely love how stoic Master Chief is in the original trilogy. You know, I'm fucking Master Chief, deal with it, and puts the fucking gun right between Arbiter's fucking mandibles and sends the fucking bomb back to the Covenant. And I totally get, you know, people liking that kind of character. Hell, I did later on when playing the original trilogy. but it was the introduction of looking into the psychology of Chief and what he's really feeling on the inside after all this time. This dude has to be fucking lonely. These Spartans were taken as kids to become human weapons. This shit had me so curious to see how it affected them. That's something I had always been so curious about, and I'm just a huge fan of that sort of character development. So when 343 decided to give him a bit more of a softer side for Cortana, he was a bit more afraid to lose her. I think that was the perfect way to introduce that sort of conflict with himself. And not only that, but for me, it really gave me something to connect with and relate to as a young, impressionable teen at the time. Up until Halo 4, Chief has been so stoic and showed no emotion when dealing with all the hardships and adventures he's been on, which is pretty damn awesome in its own right, and that's something that I definitely looked up to as a kid. But giving Chief this kind of depth really made this young boy feel that it was okay to show emotions. You know, it was okay to cry a little. You're not a little bitch. And I think that was something I definitely needed to hear back then. It's healthy as a guy to show emotion and not be so stoic all the time. Even Chief has it rough. Even this man has it rough. I don't know. That's sort of how I saw it and appreciated it back in the day. And oh man, I'm excited to get into the next part of the video with all this foreshadowing going on. You guys are gonna love it. I hope so, at least. But man, this shit had me losing my shit back then. I was so sad for him. And honestly, this is probably one of my favorite moments in any game ever. It was just so emotional. You know, she finally got to touch the man she sacrificed herself to save. And it was touching with all the comments from Lasky about being a person versus being a machine. Lasky hits a little different. Lasky's a really good character in my opinion, unlike there's clearly a few things about the story that are very questionable looking back. And as a fan of this game, I can recognize that. And it's important to take off the nostalgia goggles and realize that the thing you liked so much back in the day has flaws. But damn, I fucking loved it back then. But alas, as time went on and Halo 4 grew older, there were chatters of what was next for the Halo franchise and where they could go after Halo 4. 343 was really put to the test due to the outcome of Halo 4 not being exactly what most of the fans really wanted. It would be a whole 4 years people like myself would have to wait for Halo 5 to come out. What? As soon as they played that trailer at E3 for the Xbox One in 2013, people were hype, but they were skeptical and they were hoping that 343 would learn from their mistakes made in Halo 4 for the community's sake. Overall, even now, I think Halo 4 was a decent game. Story was good, multiplayer was good to me, but not to a whole lot of other people. And then, yeah, you forgot about that one, didn't you? Halo wasn't Halo anymore. It was bad for a lot of the player base. 343 really had to hunker down and learn from the mistakes that they made in Halo 4. And then they released the trailer for Halo 5. And oh boy, what wonders awaited. Oh no, not again! Who are you? Who are you? What are you doing? Why are you doing this?
I'm just following orders, you fool.
No, dude, I just want to go home. I have to do something about this. Alright, where am I? Oh yeah. Halo 5! The Master Chief is a rogue Spartan on his mission to find the love of his life, misses Halo, and gets confronted by his worst nemesis, a giant fucking bird. Oh yeah, and Luke Cage. This man was sent out to hunt Mr. Halo because apparently he went AWOL. Like, come on, guys, did you not learn your lesson from this man? 343 decided to go down this route of Chief has gone AWOL and needs to be brought back, but he could be possibly betraying the UNSC. But he's looking for his
long-lost lover. It's fine.
What?
And in all honesty, I know. I like the premise of Halo 5. I know, get him out of here. I know. I really like the part about him being upset with his long lost E-girl because it really shows that Chief is fucked up in the head and the events from Halo 4 really got to him and stuff. He has separation anxiety. But they really didn't try hard enough to convey that. And here's an example as to why they didn't try hard enough to convey that. So, I like shonen, and watching the video up to this point, that should be abundantly clear. And in shonen anime, it's typically, you know, a coming-of-age like story of a kid who faces the trials and tribulations of their world, looking to become stronger, smarter, and wiser. When it comes to those characters, the trials they face really put them to the limits of their capability, and oftentimes, they lose their shit because they can't handle it. That's exactly what I wanted to see with the Chief in Halo 5. Although, he's not exactly a teen, but you get the idea. He has been through the ringer and back. You know, taken as a kid to be a super soldier, all alone for a lot of his life, basically a machine. But even after all of that, as Locke said to the Arbiter, he is the Spartan, and that is something to look up to and resonate with a lot of younger audiences. You can become great no matter what you've gone through in life, which makes shonen so popular with the youth. There's no doubt in my mind that that is what did it for Halo's audience back when Bungie were commanding the ship. That is exactly why they loved Chief. They connected with him, and they saw all the shit that he did, but at the end of the day, he's a badass super soldier that has been through hell, and he made it. That's definitely a big reason why I liked Chief back in the day as well, in the original trilogy, but I obviously think I like him more now, at least in Halo 4, because instead of them telling us what happened to Chief back in the day through extended lore and books and trailers and podcasts, in Halo 4, they fucking showed us. But in Halo 5, they just completely backtracked it, I feel. And it was truly a missed opportunity. I just wish they capitalized on the ideas and all the stuff they proposed in the trailers, like Chief has gone rogue to find Cortana because he's lost without her. You know, go into his mental state a little more. He's fucking boring. He's boring as hell. He's like worse than Goku in Dragon Ball Super. He barely talks about anything important at all. And don't get me started on each fucking team. Who are they? Who are they? Besides Buck. Like, don't make the casual fan go read every fucking Halo novel, every show, every podcast, every trailer, which, by the way, misdirected incredibly, and know everything about the extended lore of everything that is in the game. And Cortana? Oh, man. Look, as I said before, I don't mind the premise of Halo 5 at all. In fact, okay, hear me out. I really like the setup of Cortana being the bad guy and how that mentally affects the Chief. Boo! Shut up! I know. She could really serve a purpose for Chief by bringing her back home and somehow convincing her that what she's doing is wrong. And it would also give Chief a chance to face his demons of being without her, like it seems like he is in Halo Infinite. He could open up the Brohammer, dude! He could open up the Brohammer about the shit that he's been going through and beat his demons while simultaneously helping a friend who's lost their path. And I know, she's an AI, I know she's supposed to deteriorate after 7 years, I know that. They can make it work. They can make it work. And it will be cool. But god damn it, Halo 5 is so fucking boring. Like, Blue Team is literally looking at this 7-foot tall man, almost pass out with no warning. And none of them give a flying fuck about their own family member. Like, that's a long way to fall. You better make sure that man is damn good. They took a route in Halo 4 and I loved where it was headed, but go into it some more, god damn it! Now, this ain't an extensive review of Halo 5. I just wanted to point out a bunch of the things that people didn't like about it, as well as the stuff that I liked and disliked. I've mentioned the stuff that I disliked about it a lot, but there were quite a few things that I did enjoy about Halo 5, and one of those things was definitely the multiplayer. I quite enjoyed the multiplayer, specifically the mechanics of the whole gameplay. You could Spartan charge, you could dash, you could ground pound, you could clamber, you could hover. All that stuff I really, really liked. I also, believe it or not, am a fan of how each weapon pretty much had their own place in the sandbox and how they almost all were usable and not just throwaway weapons like the Spiker and Halo Reach or weapons like that. Most of the weapons in the game were viable and useful in a lot of situations. And I know that's not something a lot of people agree with, but that's something I did really like. I also really liked a lot of the customization options that you had for the Spartans. Like, your assassinations, just getting to pick one of them and have that be your assassination is really cool. Like, fucking sticking a grenade to him, spinning him around, and throwing his ass to the wind and having him blow up. That's fucking cool. But with that power and creativity came responsibility. And let me tell you, they didn't have the responsibility. Now, this ain't EA we're talking about, but this is definitely ground zero when it came to the loot box fiasco, you know. I'm talking about this, and this, and this, and that, and this, and that, and this, and that. It's like the art team at 343 decided to have a meeting that went a little like this. Hey Bill, hey Tim. So I got these 10 pieces of armor mocked up for you to look at. Which ones do you like? Yeah. And then they had another 40 meetings that went the exact same way each time. In some aspects, the customization was pretty innovative, but in a lot of other aspects, it's less innovative than the game that came out 3 years prior. And 343 were the ones that made it. Why take away the ability to customize each piece of armor individually? I know why.
Here comes the money.
Here we go.
Wait, won't rec packs with special weapons break the exquisitely refined balance of arena multiplayer?
Secure your noise hole, soldier! Grown-ups are talking.
Damn it.
Long story short, only cosmetic rec items and boosts can be used in arena, but everything is fair game in Warzone.
Look, times are different now. Loot boxes weren't as condemned back then as they are now, but come on. How can you, in good faith, make this cute little animation? How can you acknowledge perfectly valid criticisms of the monetary system and then completely shit on it in some fucking supercilious fashion? It's like a scene straight from Parks and Rec. And he's fucking Ron Swanson. They got Nick Offerman to voice Mr. Chief. Dude, who knew they made a sequel to Parks and Rec called Parks and Rec? This whole video, this animation, was a bit of a gray area to me because the things that the blue and the red Spartans were posing were questions about the rec system, not really complaints about it. There were 2 points that were brought up that were questions about the balancing of the game, such as, won't recs break the arena side of multiplayer, as well as, won't people spawn in with OP recs immediately in Warzone? To both of those questions, albeit dismissively, he confirms that they will be balanced in some way, and the game will not be like that. I think a bunch of people misunderstood the meanings of those points that were brought up and just thought it was, 343 shitting on legit criticisms. However, it really wasn't a good look for 343 because in the beginning, I really did think it was just a huge slap in the face to everyone against microtransactions, but now I realize that it was a slightly smaller slap in the face because they still promoted them like this. It just seemed a little distasteful, and that's why it's like a gray area to me. But back to the topic of multiplayer, despite all of that, I still really liked it a lot, and it seems people were more on one side or the other when it came to it. It seemed more like a 50-50 split on whether or not you liked it or you disliked it, unlike the campaign, which most people disliked. And that's where the trust issues set in. with the campaign, with the loot boxes, with the lack of content at launch, with the strict customization options. There were plenty of legitimate reasons to not like the game, and I totally understand that. It wasn't even the best for new players. A lot of Halo 5's problems were also because that it wasn't very accessible to new players. You know, from all the external sources you had to read from, to the change in multiplayer mechanics. They're just not sure, people are just not sure that they can trust 343 with Infinite. But all the things that they've been showing in their blog posts over the past few months have really given people hope. And real quick, I just wanted to say this. 343 absolutely worked their heart out when it came to these past 2 Halo games. Absolutely. I often feel like they're not given enough credit when it comes to the things that they did right. A lot of times it's just focused on the things that they did wrong. But they absolutely killed the great aspects of both of those games, Halo 4 and 5 that is. And with all the sneak peeks that they're given, I'm almost positive that this game is going to be fucking awesome. If this game comes out.
I'm sick of this. I'm going home now.
No, you don't understand. Please, you don't understand.
I'm going home.
I'm trying to save you. Wait, no!
I'm back. Finally. Man, after all this time, Halo is finally coming back to save this shit stain of a year. Huh? Halo Infinite. A return to the roots of what made this game so awesome. John Halo is back with his new Mjolnir Mark 6 Gen 3 armor, looking to pick a fight with Escherun. Or like Craig. But man, he's looking good these days. Of course, 343 had to go back to the old art style. This was just like a no-brainer at this point. The fans would absolutely fucking slam them if they didn't go back to the old style, at least for the most part. Which is a really interesting thing to think about. The art of Halo 4 and 5 were so different compared to its predecessors, but I honestly really like it. Yeah, you know, things were shiny and they looked like toys and all that. But the shapes of the armor and, you know, the way the elites looked and all that stuff and the way they made them look more alien to me was just really cool. And honestly, I think I needed that back in the day, trying to prove to my mom that these guys were aliens and not people. But I appreciate the look of the armor, mostly. But I especially love the way the Mark 6 looks in Halo 5's style. It just looked so much more athletic, and you know, it makes more room for your arms and legs, and it seems a bit more practical than the Halo 3 style. But I really like this more. It's, like I said, it seems more practical, and I like the sleeker look. Like, look at that. Look at how cool it looks. You know, not to knock the old style, I'll always appreciate that one. However, the Gen 3, I will say, looks really, really good. And I'm a huge fan of how they sort of kind of blended the two art styles together. It seems like it's kind of leading towards the old school a little bit more, but I can see a few of the things that they took inspiration from with Halo 5 in the armor, but I do really like the way that it looked. And that sort of seems like the theme of Halo Infinite. It seems like they're blending these two contrasting games together when it comes to the art and when it comes to the mechanics of the game as well. They got rid of things like the thruster pack or Spartan charge or hover or things like that, but they're keeping in sprint and mantling and sliding. It seems like more of a natural progression, which I hear a lot of people saying, and I absolutely agree with. Like, I'm really glad they're not scrapping everything from Halo 4 and 5. There's a lot of cool shit in there, especially the Warthog design. I think this Warthog was a great evolution of the other Warthog, and it just made it look better. I really like the old Warthog, but I think they knocked it out of the park with that design. The new one, that is. But as a whole, I was never really opposed to either side of the spectrum when it came to game mechanics with enhanced abilities like sprint or dash versus just moving a little quicker and having equipment. In fact, honestly, I just think it makes more sense for there to be enhanced abilities. They're Spartans for corn's sake. But I do get that that's an argument people don't really agree with. And I know that's not what Halo is to a lot of people. And I respect that. But I think they're taking a good route in blending the two styles together. Add the open world, and this could be the best Halo game in the series. And it fucking better be, because we're going to have this for another 10 fucking years. It already seems as though this game is a natural progression from the Bungie Halos as opposed to a hard contrast that came out in Halo 4. I didn't mind that contrast, but I certainly do like where Infinite is headed, and it seems like 343 are taking big notes, and I think they're on their way to gaining the trust of the audience back, of their own community. We just gotta wait and see what's in store from them throughout the year. But to summarize everything, I love Halo. I love how I started with this game. And I get that some people are disappointed where the game has headed over the past several years, but I have hope that Infinite will be the best Halo. And I'm fucking glad that they delayed that shit. Hello? But even if Infinite turns out half as bad as Cyberpunk did, I'm still gonna fucking play it because Halo to me is a franchise that I'll be into until I die or until it dies. If you made it this far, then I just want to give you my biggest thank you. I'm absolutely bewildered at the thought of someone watching something that I made all the way through. I'm incredibly thankful that you decided to stay along and watch. I've been wanting to make this video for a while now, as well as more videos like this, but I finally got around to finishing my very first one. It's kind of what I want to do, along with streaming on Twitch. Over the past few years, life has been a bit rough for me emotionally, but I finally feel like I'm at a point where I'm motivated enough to do this stuff. I want to be able to maybe do this for a living one day, but for now, I guess it's just like my side hobby. But as I said, I stream sometimes on Twitch if y'all want to check it out. I'll put the link in the description, but this is something I'm really proud of. And as I said, I appreciate you sticking to the very end. It means so much. And I know that I'm gonna have to compete with a lot of big names out there, like the Donkeys and the Actmans and all of the people like that. They're definitely ones I drew inspiration from when making this video. But sincerely, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for sticking to the very end. It means so much to me. And given that the past couple years have been rough for a lot of people out there, especially with COVID and all that stuff, I hope that this video can give you a bit of a laugh. But thank you. Thank you again so much for sticking through. And if you'd like to stick around longer, I guess I'll see you in the next one. Your boy Clambo is out of here.
I need immediate medical assistance on my location. Send backup. I don't think he knows what he just did.